Hello. Welcome to the interview. This is Fabian. My name is Eva. We are the YAAAS young programmers from the Crossing Europe Film Festival. Welcome. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hello, nice to meet you too. So I'm Jérémy Trouilh, co-director of Gagarine with Fanny.
And I'm Fanny Liatard, and I'm happy to talk to you.
Great, it's really nice to meet you. All right, first off, is it okay if we use each other's first names?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So my first question would be, what exactly inspired you to write that story and produce that story? Like, how did you come up with that?
Je commence. So we wrote this story after meeting a place. This place is Gagarine. It's a social housing project in really next to Paris, in Paris neighborhood, banlieue. And we met this place with Jérémy 6 years ago now. We are friends with Jérémy from our studies in Bordeaux in France, and we met in Paris some years ago again with the big willing of making films, and we met this place Gagarine, and immediately we learned that it was going to be demolished. It was a big surprise for us because when we saw the building and how beautiful it was, we were surprised of this decision to demolish. And we were here to make documentaries or portraits of inhabitants and have their feelings about the demolition. And that's when we learned that Yuri Gagarin, the astronaut, came to inaugurate this place. And also we heard the stories of the people who had to leave this place and have so many stories of life inside the building. So everything together, all these elements led us to write a short film. And Gagarine was first a short film of 15 minutes that we made really quickly. It was our very first fiction film with Jérémy. We made it together. And we had the chance to spend time with the inhabitants, and after, with this movie, travel around the world to show it. So we couldn't stop here, and we started to write the feature one that you have or will discover.
Yeah, great. So the filming actually did take place in the original Cité Gagarine, right?
Yeah, we were lucky enough to be able to shoot in the actual Cité Gagarine just before it was demolished. So it was quite strange actually, because the huge building was completely empty at that time. And we were roommates with the demolition team, who was already here beginning to demolish some part of the building, and had led us another part of the building where we were able, with the entire crew, to shoot it for 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And was the noise a problem? Like when they were demolishing the house at the same time you were filming?
Yes, we had to stop. On the set, sometimes we had to stop because of the noise, but because the shooting process was so, we had a lot of time and as many films, and so after a while we told to the sound engineer, okay, we don't care, we go and we will see with the editing process how we can manage it, and it was okay. We used these weird sounds of the workers into the movie, actually.
Oh yeah, it turned out great.
Yeah, it really did.
All right.
So in the movie, the characters have various cultural backgrounds. Do you personally have experiences or specific connections with that, living in cultural differences and backgrounds?
Well, I think most of French people have many cultural origins. Fanny and I, our grandparents were Polish, Italian, from Algeria, from Italy, Spain. We have all roots from many places. And what we feel, Fanny and I, is that in housing projects, in those territories that are poorly described in media, because many times shown as places where violence and drug deal are happening all the time and nothing else. What we see is people with a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and this is a great richness for these communities. And really, when you go in a classroom next to Gagarine, most of the kids speak at least two languages, and are all together growing and sharing experiences. And we really wanted to show this positivity of cultural diversity in France, and I guess in many parts of the world.
I'm very glad you did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Also, there are many like surreal scenes in the movie, like that show Yuri floating around in space. Sometimes I think there's also one where the house takes off.
Yeah.
Like, did that have like, was there anything specific that you wanted to communicate with these scenes, or is that open for the viewer to interpret?
You mean the most fictional, science fictional scenes?
Yeah, exactly.
For us to talk about this place and the young people living in this real place of Gagarine, we decided to make a step aside by using science fiction or magic, we would say, and the space metaphor was obvious because of the Yuri Gagarin coming to this place in the 60s, and also because of the architecture of the place. So it was a game first to be in between these two, the very realistic part and the fictional, the space part. And for us, it's everything is coming from Yuri's imagination, but then that's at the end of the film, we don't really know. It's free to think, are we inside the head of Yuri, or his dreams are becoming true because he fought for it? This is free of interpretation. Yes.
Yeah. I enjoyed the scenes very much. I think it makes the film very dreamy and poetic. I don't know.
Thank you.
So because there were those weightless scenes and the house taking off and the whole movie about Yuri Gagarin. Are you personally science fiction fans yourselves?
Totally. Yeah, totally. And it was a great game for us, for our first feature, to play with the genre and with science fiction references that we've watched so many times. And so we rewatched everything, 2001 and Blade Runner and Solaris. And
oh, wow.
we really felt free to get inspired by those huge references. And actually, we were more influenced, I think, by these kinds of movies than movies that have a strong social background and are more realistic. For instance, many people talk to us about La Haine or Les Misérables, movies that take place in the same kind of territories. And those are great films who show another face of the same coin, I guess. But we felt that to make a step beside and to change the point of view on this kind of stories, we had to get inspired by other types of movies.
Yeah, some of the I mean, most of the scenes were so phenomenal. I thought there were many connections to, for example, 2001. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, we know we're not Kubrick yet, but we are learning, and it's always nice to feel free to take some ideas of the great ones who did things before.
Yeah. What would interest me also was how exactly did you film that? I mean, it's more like about technical stuff, but like, for example, the scene where Yuri, I think he's like floating in the stairway, I think. How did you do that?
It was a big challenge for us because we had to choose the few scenes that were asking for special effects, and this one it was really important for us that the weightlessness scenes and could take place in the main in the real building. So we just put our actor up. He was 15. How many meters is it's more high. I think he was yes, with at the top of the building, and we were so scared with Jérémy looking at him. Wow, like with a cable in the staircase, and then we worked with a special effect group who helped us to borrow the cables, and but it was really really funny because actually we did for this part. We did it in the neighbor building of Gagarine, which is quite the same, but and it was full of inhabitants. So we had to shoot this scene very silent because it was by night and with a big light installation, and Alceni Basili, our actor, was in danger, not in danger because it was a bit yeah.
I mean, not only the scenes on themselves were great, but also the sound design. Did you come around and collect music, or who was responsible for all the sound design in the movie?
Thank you for noticing the sound work. There was quite a team working on the sound. If we talk about the sound engineer in the set, the sound engineers who did the editing process, the mix editor, and the music composers who all worked together with the same idea. That basically was we want to begin from the reality, and at the sound level, it means at the beginning, Yuri is in an actual housing project with life and the elevator sound and the train station right next to the building and the live people. And all those sounds, slowly, at the time the building gets emptied of its inhabitants, all the sounds become more and more strange and spatial. So it was a work of capturing all the sounds in the set, in the reality, and then using all this and transforming that and making connections between those realistic sounds and the music also. Of course, with again a lot of references of what is a space for us in our mind. So you have what astronauts say from their experience and what sci-fi showed us during the last decades. And we took a little of all those experiences to try to reproduce it in the film.
Wow. Yeah, we're speechless. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Now something actually kind of different, but how did the both of you become filmmakers? Like what was your career like? How did you end up here?
With Jérémy, we studied together, but not cinema. We studied the political sciences in France, and but these studies were interesting because we learned to be curious of the world, and we had the chance to spend our second year abroad. And Jérémy went to Colombia and I went to Peru. So we spent both of us 1 year in South America. And this year was very important, has been very important for us because we discovered the magical realism, this literature movement, and in cinema also. And I think it spoke a lot to us because it's a vision of the world where you can talk about political things and with a part of magic, and so I think it stayed inside us for years. And then when we finished political sciences, we traveled a bit, and we studied urban planning after that, thinking that we were going to have a proper job with these studies. And at the end we realized that what we wanted is to tell stories, and we loved to write also. We had this part of our studies was writing a lot. And Jérémy studied the documentary in a small city in France, in Lussas, for 1 year. I did a small workshop on script writing. And when we gathered together, we were together again in Paris with this willing of making film, telling stories with image and sound. We met Gagarine, so we had this opportunity, incredible, to make our short film together. And really, when the first day we arrived on the set, we didn't know how to say moteur and cut and nothing, but we learned, and we're still learning, because after Gagarine, the short film, we made 3 other short films of fiction, and so and then the feature one, and we are learning together.
Wow,
Thank
what a
you.
career.
Yeah.
So I hope you don't mind me asking, but what did the whole movie film cost in the making?
More or less, it costed 2,300,000 euros. For us, it sounds like a lot, of course, but in the global industry in France, it's quite average for a first feature, and it was a challenge to do Gagarine with this budget, because we had a lot of visual ambitions and also collective scenes with many people inside of it, and quite a big team at the design part of the film, and also the image. So we managed to do what we wrote, but we had to cut some scenes. For instance, at the moment the script had some fires, big fires, and our crew said, maybe you have to pick an element. So maybe Gagarine is something more about air and water than fire, and so maybe take off the fire. And this kind of language convinced us to cut the fire, and also made us save maybe a few 100,000 euros. But yeah, that's what it costed.
Yeah. And how long did the filming take? Like the filming alone, no after cut and stuff.
The shooting was 7 weeks. C'est ça, hein?
Yes.
The writing before the shooting, 3 years, I would say, and after and we edited during 4 months, and but after it was supposed to go to Cannes, but the COVID came, and so no, but it took yeah, in total 4 years.
Wow, yeah.
But it seems long, but it's not so long, because we we did the short films during the writing process, and we learned from the shooting of the short film. So it's not so long, but we hope the next films will be very fast, faster.
Well, it paid off.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming projects?
Yes, we are actually working on 2 future projects. One in France and another one in English language. And I cannot tell you a lot of about those because we are still in the beginning of the writing process, but we are very excited to go travel in new stories with new characters. And of course, our next films will have similarities with Gagarine in the way that we will always feel inspired by reality, by real people and by real situations. Even though we'll keep on telling fictional stories, it will always have a connection with a reality.
Yeah. Well, good luck with your upcoming projects. I'm very excited
Thank you.
about them. And we've reached the end of our time.
Unfortunately, but yes. But it was
so nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you. It was very great.
Great seeing you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your days.
Thank you, you too, and thanks again to have chosen the movie, and we're really happy that it can be seen.
Enjoy the festival to you and all the people who will attend it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.